Innovate or die. We hear it all the time, right? Every company is under this insane pressure to come up with the next big thing. But how do you actually make that happen? What's the secret?
So let's get right into it. A lot of us, if we're being honest, probably think we know the answer. You picture that one visionary leader, a Steve Jobs type, right? We just assume that one brilliant person is the secret ingredient. But is that really the whole story?
I mean, it's a great story. This idea of the lone genius leader has been the go-to narrative for ages. But today, we're going to dig into some really interesting research that asks, is it just a myth?
Okay, so at the absolute core of any innovation, you've got one thing: knowledge. And I'm not talking about some fuzzy concept here. This is a hard and fast business rule. The research we're looking at today puts it perfectly. The companies that are masters at gathering, creating, and actually using knowledge, well, they're the ones that come out on top.
So you can see where this is going, right? It seems totally logical. If knowledge is the fuel, then a leader who's all about that, a knowledge-oriented leader who's pushing everyone to learn and share, they have to be the one directly driving all the innovation. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Well, this is where things get really, really interesting, because a group of researchers decided to actually put that common sense idea to the test. And what they discovered, it kind of turns everything we thought we knew on its head. So this team from Hasanuddin University in Indonesia, they didn't just sit in a lab. They went out into the real world. They talked to 110 managers and directors in the manufacturing industry. I mean, a sector where if you don't innovate, you're toast, to see what was actually going on.
Okay, so this is the model they used to test their idea. Now, I know it looks a little academic, but the question they're asking is super simple. It all comes down to that arrow they labeled H3. That's the big one. Does a great, knowledge-focused leader directly lead to more innovation? Yes or no? And here it is, the big twist. After they crunched all the numbers from those managers, you know what they found? Nothing. Zilch. That direct connection we all thought was so obvious, it just wasn't there. Statistically speaking, it didn't exist. Let me put that another way. The study flat out rejected the idea that a leader, no matter how great, directly makes a company more innovative, all by themselves. I mean, that's a huge deal. It flies in the face of so much of what we're told about business. So that leaves us with a massive question, right? If it's not the leaders directly, then what the heck is going on? We know they're important, but how? What's the missing piece of the puzzle here? Well, the answer, it turns out, is something we can think of as the company's shared brain. Now, the researchers have a fancier name for it, an E-based knowledge management system, or KMS, but the idea is simple. It's the system that holds and connects all the company's collective smarts.
Think about it. This is the company's central nervous system. It's the tech-based setup for how ideas, lessons learned, and raw data all get captured, passed around, and actually used. So it's not just some dusty old database. It's the living, breathing, thinking part of the whole operation. And this shared brain, it's really made of two parts. You can think of it like a computer. First, you've got the infrastructure. That's your hardware, the tech, the culture, the company structure that lets all this knowledge move around. Then you've got the processes. That's your software, the actual day-to-day habits of creating knowledge, sharing it, and putting it to work. Okay, so now we have all the key players on the board: the leader, the shared brain, and the goal, which is innovation. So let's connect the dots and see how they really work together. All right, this table really spells it out for us. Remember H3, that direct line from leader to innovation? Total bust. But look at H6 and H7. This is the gold mine. The researchers found two super important indirect routes. The leader does affect innovation, but they do it through that shared brain we were just talking about. So here's pathway number one. It's all about building the foundation. A smart leader doesn't just sit around having brilliant ideas. No, they invest in the right tech. They foster a culture where it's safe to share. They design the company to be a learning machine. And that strong infrastructure is what innovation is built on. And then there's the second pathway, which is all about habits. This is where the leader actively encourages the doing. They're the ones rewarding people for sharing what they know. They're setting up workshops to spark new ideas. They make it okay to fail and learn from it. It's these everyday actions, these processes, that really pour fuel on the innovation fire. But check this out. Not all paths are the same. The data is crystal clear on this. The path that goes through the processes, the actual habits of sharing and learning, is more than 3 times stronger than just having the infrastructure.
So what does that tell us? Having the fancy tools is good, but building a culture where people actually use them, that's the real game changer. Okay, so this research is pretty mind-blowing, but what does it actually mean for you and me? What's the takeaway? How should we apply this in our own jobs, in our own companies?
The biggest takeaway really is a complete shift in how we see leadership. We've got to ditch this myth of the innovation genius, this one person who has all the amazing ideas. The reality, which the study shows, is that the best leaders are more like system architects. Their job isn't to have all the answers. It's to build a system where amazing answers can come from anyone, anywhere in the company.
So when you boil it all down, the research gives us two very clear things to do. First, you got to build up your infrastructure, get the right tech, the right culture. But second, and this is the big one, you have to focus on the processes. You have to actively build the daily habits of creating, sharing, and using knowledge. The goal isn't to find a single genius. It's to unlock the collective genius of your whole team.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. Look around at your own organization. Are you guys just waiting around for a hero leader to have a brilliant idea? Or are you all working together to build that shared brain, the system that lets innovation just happen? Because honestly, the answer to that question could change everything.